Hey everyone, this is my Invitae 2020 recap and 2021 stock outlook and company outlook. This video will talk more about why Invitae is such a great company in my book and why I'm so bullish on it. So in my opinion, Invitae is a pretty risky investment, but it has an extremely high potential reward and the ceiling seems limitless. So this makes it a worthwhile investment for me. Of course, this is not investment advice in any regard or form, and just my own presentation of facts and opinions. Anyways, in 2020, Invitae performed pretty well. It more than doubled during 2020, starting off at right under 20 and ending right over 40. That's pretty good. That's pretty good performance, and it came with substantial volatility. It dropped more than 30% at some points. It actually right now is down 30% or so from all-time highs, and I completely expect 2021 to have even more volatility. However, I do expect it to end up year to date by the end of 2021. Whether I'm right or wrong, nobody knows, but let's see it play out. But before I go on and talk about the company itself, I do want to have a quick warning and reminder that it will be down 30% at some point. If you're investing in the stock, it will be down probably 50% at some point. But there's a catch. It will also be up 100% at some point, 200%, 300%, and so on. However, you do not gain the guts and you do not get to enjoy the upside really until you also kind of feel the downside. And that's just how investing works. Of course, you can get lucky and time the market, but with consistent timing of the market, it's very, very hard. So this is just a warning and a reminder, and also a little quote to make sure that you don't get worried. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but Charlie Munger, legendary investor, has seen his own portfolio go down 50% 3 whole times in his life, and it's in the nature of long-term shareholding. You can look this up, read more about it. I'm not going to delve too much into it. Pause the video if you want to read it, but let's move on. So, why should we invest in Invitae right now? Well, why am I investing in Invitae right now? In my opinion, Invitae is not just a genetics company, it's a network-driven and data-centric company that fits into long-term themes and trends such as genomics testing, bioinformatics, and personalized medicine. So I borrowed this chart from ARK Invest, and they think that the DNA sequencing market will grow around 43% a year to $21 billion in 2024. That is huge, and that is barely the only thing that Invitae does. Invitae has made smart acquisitions and done a lot of work to move into other parts of other markets, and we'll show this right here. Invitae is planning to get into the personalized medicine market using their genetic capabilities and the power and the tools provided by their acquisitions, which we will also talk about later. But if we look here, the global market for personalized medicine, therapeutics, and diagnostics is growing a lot and is expected to grow by a lot. The entire personalized medicine market is forecast to hit nearly $3 trillion by 2022. And Invitae will get a small piece of this pie. And 340 billion of that pie is for personalized medicine, therapeutics, and diagnostics, which Invitae specifically will focus on. And that is a huge market. The TAM is massive. So Invitae has a long runway from here on out. So in reaction to COVID-19, Invitae actually performed better than I expected. It did drop after COVID-19 hit right here. The revenue dropped for about a quarter, and then it bounced right back to the quarter right after. You can see for the last 5 years it's had this steady growth upwards, and I fully expect this return to normal growth, this kind of growth, to continue starting in 2021, especially once people get vaccinated, COVID kind of stops, things get back to normal, etc. So, provided things get back to normal, I do expect revenue growth next year. So, before I talk more about some of the moves Invitae made this year, I want to talk about the man behind the moves, Sean George, CEO. In 2018, Invitae had just posted great earnings, and he actually wasn't like that happy about it. He had noticed that the test-by-test genetic industry is dead. It's over. The companies that do it are the walking dead. And note, Invitae was doing this test by test kind of testing back then. But he realized that this was not sustainable, that the value was there, but people simply are not paying for it. And his view was that he has to attack it from another direction and make testing more of a utility in healthcare. And this kind of leads to a future that is powered by networks and with intellectual property, data, machine learning, AI, etc. And yeah, so let's take a look at how Sean George, the CEO of Invitae at the time and CEO of Invitae today, how did he follow up on his observations back then on his own company? Pretty damn well is the answer. 2018, Invitae was hitting around $85 million of revenue. Let's look at today. By July, it's expected yearly around $250 million of revenue. And actually, this chart is a little outdated. I think the full estimates are around $275 million revenue. So that is over a tripling of revenue over 2 years. That is huge. And that honestly shows that Sean George has backed his words up with action. So I trust him to continue on his relentless pursuit of business excellence for the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, however long he remains a CEO. So yes, I trust his CEO a lot. Now, one last thing before I go on to talk about things like the Archer acquisition Invitae made, etc. All long-term winners have optionality. You probably never expected, for example, Amazon, an online bookstore, to move into computing as AWS, Amazon Web Services, later on. In 2004, you could have never predicted that. But listen, they did it. And this is called optionality, where companies can just move into different directions, different industries, and just grow their TAM limitlessly. And to help you visualize this, I want you to step back and look at the bigger picture. You probably never imagined iPhones or iPads or Teslas or AWS 20 years ago. But the future never waits. And by investing in Invitae, I am making a bet on human innovation here. And human innovation has yet to fail over time. So I want you to think big when you're thinking about Invitae. If you have enough of a mountaintop view, you should be able to see a world where pretty much every living person will have their genes mapped in order to produce optimal health outcomes. Sure, this might be pushing it. This might sound crazy now. Come back to me in 30 years. Let's see where we're at. But this could be the future. This is the future. Gene mapping could lead to personally designed treatment for rare diseases. These are rare diseases that people are suffering where we could have personally designed treatment for them, where health outcomes just increase, like the health outcomes just get better dramatically. And that is just what I can see and predict right now. The thing is that there's so many possibilities out there that we haven't even dreamed of, because the possibilities are absolutely endless and some innovations are simply unpredictable. So I don't know where Invitae will go in the future. I know that they'll do well because of Sean George and the realm and the trends that they're a part of. But I don't know where they'll go in the future. I have no idea, because Sean George can take them in any route he wants to. So let's see how Sean George has kind of proven that he's an optionality-minded thinker. The 2020 ArcherDX acquisition is kind of proof of that. This is a quote about Archer. I'm not going to read this one. You can pause it and read it. But Archer grew at 77% last year in revenue. And by acquiring Archer, Invitae grows into the somatic, which is cancer, testing space by acquiring top-of-the-line tools for precision oncology and cancer genetics. Invitae was not in the cancer space before. Archer is the best genetic testing in the cancer space. They had the best tools in precision oncology. Invitae acquired this, and now they have expanded into a whole different area. And that is phenomenal. Next, Invitae's central laboratory. This is the quote from the actual merger, but I highlighted this because this is where their synergy really plays a great role. Invitae has a central laboratory where people get tests at a hospital, and those tests are sent to Invitae's labs, and Invitae sends back the results after performing analysis. Archer, on the other hand, is decentralized, where people get tests at a hospital. The hospital kind of returns the test results right there, and they don't have a central lab. Like it's local. And now with Nvta and Archer together, they are able to combine and serve all markets, basically markets that prefer central labs and markets that prefer decentralized labs. So together the synergy works really, really well. And that's not all. That's not all that the merger really does. So this is the drug and research and development process. You don't really need to know too much about this. So let me just give you a high level overview. Archer, there are 6 steps listed here, and Archer usually controls and kind of presides over the first 3 steps or so. And Invitae usually presides over the last 3 steps or so. Now that they're combined, Invitae now has potential control over the entire pipeline, the entire process. And this is huge. This is huge. And I don't even need to explain why it's huge. It's just when the company has more control over a process, it's just better, period. So yeah, this is really, really good. If you do want to actually learn more about this, I can put some links in the bio, or you could just leave a comment and I'll happily make another video about it or explain it more. But for now, just gonna leave it at that. Invitae's revenue guidance is around 50% annual growth, and I'm guesstimating around 2 billion in sales in 5 years. For reference, in 2020, they're hitting around 273 million in sales without Archer. So I 100% think 2 billion in sales is manageable in 5 years. Let's see where it goes, but that's what they're guiding for. And so far, looking at how the CEO has kind of proven himself in recent years, I can definitely see this happening. However, no company is perfect or invincible, and Invitae definitely has risks. Number 1 could be potential valuation, which is more related to like broad market risks. 2 could be potential competitors. Many competitors out there, and the space is hot right now. Space is ripe with competition. Like that's just the nature of business. Number 3, Invitae is going through some cash burn issues, which I will talk about more actually in the video. So there's more issues, there's more risks involved, and it's up to you to take into account these risks when you're investing in a company like Invitae. However, in my opinion, for myself, I feel like the risks are easily overcome, and I firmly believe that Invitae is a strong company for the future. So before I go, just wanted to leave this last reminder that all long-term winners have optionality. And when Invitae does drop 30 to 50%, I want you to think back on this video and think about Invitae's optionality and how they deal with crises like COVID-19, where they rebound extremely quickly, and how they expand into new markets, and how the CEO delivers over and over and over. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Before you leave, if you enjoyed the content, please do leave a like and subscribe, and leave a comment below. What do you think about this? What do you think about Invitae? What do you think about this video? Do you like this content? Do you want to hear about other companies, etc.? Yeah, let me know. But hope you guys enjoyed, and have a good one.